She signed the divorce papers with trembling hands at a glittering Christmas party, tears falling onto the ink as carols played in the background, while the room laughed, toasted, and never imagined that the woman breaking apart inside was hiding a fortune big enough to buy the entire building. Snow drifted softly outside the glass walls of the Grand Hotel ballroom, lights twinkling like stars fallen to earth, yet inside her chest everything felt dark and hollow. She stood near a decorated table, red ornaments reflecting her swollen eyes, holding papers that felt heavier than her entire past. This was supposed to be a celebration, a company Christmas party filled with joy and gratitude for the year gone by, but for her it had become the place where her marriage officially ended. The pen shook in her fingers as she signed the last page, her tears smudging the ink while laughter echoed around her. No one stopped to look. No one noticed. To them, she was just another woman quietly breaking while the world kept spinning. Before the story goes any further, if you believe in kindness, second chances, and stories that remind us never to judge a heart by appearances, please like this video, share it with someone who needs hope, leave a comment, and subscribe to our channel Gentle Hearts. Your support helps keep stories like this alive. She had arrived at the party alone, wearing a simple dress she bought on sale, hair neatly tied back, makeup carefully hiding weeks of sleepless nights. People assumed she was just another employee's spouse, someone forgettable, someone invisible. That invisibility had become her armor over the years. She learned early that showing pain invited questions, and questions invited pity, and pity was heavier than silence. So she smiled politely, kept her head down, and let the world think whatever it wanted. The divorce papers had been prepared quietly, efficiently, and cruelly. Her husband had chosen this night on purpose, knowing she would not make a scene, knowing she would swallow her pain to keep the peace. Their marriage had slowly crumbled under the weight of neglect, misunderstandings, and his constant belief that money defined worth. He thought she depended on him, that without his income and status she would have nothing. What he never knew, what no one in that glittering room knew, was that long before she married him, she had inherited a vast fortune from a family that valued humility over headlines. She had learned to live simply, to hide her wealth, to measure life in kindness instead of numbers. As she folded the signed papers and slipped them into an envelope, memories rushed in like a storm. Late nights alone while he chased promotions. Birthdays forgotten. Promises postponed until someday that never came. She had tried to fix things quietly, the way she fixed everything, without drama, without demands. But loneliness has a way of growing louder when ignored. By the time he asked for divorce, her heart was already exhausted, though it still broke all the same. She stepped away from the table and moved toward the balcony, needing air, needing space to breathe without choking on music and laughter. Outside, the cold bit into her skin, but it felt honest compared to the warmth inside that had nothing to do with comfort. Snowflakes landed on her hair and melted like the tears she no longer bothered to wipe away. She wondered how a life could look so perfect from the outside and feel so empty within. She wondered how many people around her were smiling through their own silent disasters. What she did not know was that inside the ballroom, whispers had already begun. Someone had noticed her crying. Someone had seen the papers. Assumptions spread quickly, as they always do. People decided she must have done something wrong, must have failed as a wife, must be leaving with nothing. In their minds, she was another cautionary tale, another woman who married above her station and lost it all. They felt justified in their quiet judgment, never imagining how wrong they were. The days that followed were heavy but strangely peaceful. For the first time in years, she woke up without the tension of waiting for disappointment. She moved out of the house they once shared and into a modest apartment, choosing simplicity over memories. She donated furniture, clothes, and gifts that carried more pain than comfort. She cried when she needed to, then wiped her face and kept moving. Healing, she learned, was not loud or dramatic. It was slow, private, and deeply personal. As weeks passed, something began to change. Freed from the constant need to please someone who never truly saw her, she rediscovered parts of herself she thought were lost. She volunteered at shelters during the holidays, quietly paying overdue bills for families who thought miracles no longer existed. She funded scholarships under anonymous names, helped struggling businesses stay afloat, and sat with people who had nothing to offer but their stories. Each act of kindness stitched a small piece of her heart back together. Meanwhile, the truth began to surface. Financial documents surfaced during legal proceedings, numbers so large they left professionals speechless. Her husband's confidence cracked as he realized the woman he dismissed as dependent had never needed him at all. News traveled fast, and soon the same people who barely noticed her tears at the Christmas party were shocked by headlines they never expected to read. The quiet woman, the simple dress, the billionaire no one recognized. But she did not celebrate their surprise. Wealth had never been her victory. Peace was. She refused interviews, declined public appearances, and continued living quietly. When asked why she hid who she was, she explained that money changes how people listen, and she wanted to be heard for her heart, not her balance sheet. That choice, more than her fortune, defined her strength. 1 year later, another Christmas arrived. Snow fell again, lights glowed again, and somewhere another party played the same familiar carols. This time, she was not standing alone with papers in her hands. She spent the evening surrounded by people whose lives she had touched, whose gratitude was real and whose love was not tied to what she owned. The pain of the past had softened into wisdom, the tears into resilience. Her story reminds us that the deepest battles are often invisible, that the quietest people can carry unimaginable strength, and that sometimes losing what hurts us is the first step toward finding ourselves. She did not need revenge, applause, or validation. She needed freedom, and she earned it through grace. If this story touched your heart, if it made you pause, reflect, or feel less alone in your own struggle,